Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent. We've got one of our favorite people in the house today, our first ever guest here on One-on-One with me as the host, at least, Mike Dunn from the Greater Salisbury Committee. Welcome, Michael.
Greg, thank you. I think I was unaware of that bit of history.
I think it's either 5 or 6 years ago
That's
this
wonderful.
month.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah. We always have you on in January to talk about the great things that your organization is planning to do this year. And you have a task list like every good business does, or even nonprofit, with some things that need to be done. First, I want to start off. You made some news recently. There's going to be a charter review committee looking at our county charter.
Yeah.
And they'll make amendments or make changes, suggestions. It's a very complicated procedure. It takes about a year. But you all, with the Chamber of Commerce, came out with some ideas that might make that process a little bit better. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, the charter review, as you said, it's appointed by charter every 10 years. And we simply, our two organizations, the Chamber and Greater Salisbury Committee, we held a press conference a few weeks ago. You were in attendance. Thank you. And we just outlined what we thought were some good procedures and some good input into having a good output. We recommended citizens apply. We recommended that both the county executive and the county council appoint citizens. We recommended that the council and the county government take a hands-off approach and let the group do its work. We recommended that they get started pretty soon and wrap up their work in June of 2022. And perhaps the most important thing we recommended was that the Charter Review Committee needs to look like the citizenry of Wicomico County. It needs to be diverse and inclusive. And so we think that's really important. Viability is on the line. So, you know, it's somewhat unexciting work of government. But if you pay any attention at all to how the Wicomico County government has been working over the last 5 years, there's been tension. A lot of that tension, we think, has to do with the give and take that the county council and the county executive were constantly doing. And perhaps there's solutions to that within the charter. If the county council men and women know their legislative responsibilities, and the county executive, whomever he or she is, knows his or her, then in theory, it's not about clinging to power. It's about each branch of our government doing the job that's assigned to them. So hopefully that's some of the work that the Charter Review Committee will look into.
Yeah, you would think that reasonable people could look at the charter and make a determination of what it's trying to say. Yeah. But just like our Constitution, reasonable people look at it, have differing viewpoints, and that's why it goes to the Supreme Court for them to rule. But we don't have a Supreme Court that helps solve those things, so the groups have to solve them together.
We have a Charter Review Committee.
Right.
You know, there were, among the things we pointed out, in 2016, there were 9 different charter review questions for the voters. That's a lot. We all know that, you know, when you step into that voting booth, you got a lot of things going through your brain, and I'm not sure that the brain is ready to read 9 different changes to a charter.
Right.
Any more than they'd be ready to look at 9 different changes to the Constitution. So we're hoping this just brings a little bit of order to the process. We think there's a way that charter amendments should occur, and they should probably emanate from the power of the Charter Review Committee, not emanate from, you know, the county council on a, not saying on a whim, but putting a whole bunch of questions out there.
Among the local issues that you guys are hitting on, which you have been for a while, is the idea of offshore wind.
Yeah.
Now, your angle on it is different. You know, we see the environmentalists who are some reason opposed. Some environmentalists are opposed. Others want the green energy. You see the resort businesses being opposed, perhaps, because they don't want the view problem. But you all see it as a jobs possibility for us locally. So talk to me about wind.
Yeah, so, you know, the Biden administration took office not long ago, and it is clear to anybody who's paying attention, one of the first things they did was rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, which is not named after what the people of Paris want. It's just simply where it was. And so we know that green energy, clean energy, is coming. It's coming to the United States. It's coming to the globe. So it's also coming off the coast of the east coast of the United States of America, and here we sit. And so we've always supported offshore wind because we believe that while we might not be in on the manufacturing of these massive turbines, those turbines need work every single day for the life of the turbine field. That's 25 years. That's men and women getting on ships in the West Ocean City Harbor and heading out to maintain those facilities. So we think there's a great opportunity for that. The proof of that, a Salisbury-based company, Archon Training Center, the largest offshore training facility in the world, is in Great Britain. Archon, right here in Salisbury, entered into a contractual agreement with that company, and Archon has now gotten their certification. So they are the first offshore training facility in the United States, and hopefully that will create a whole bunch of activity as people who go to work repairing the turbines and building them, they must have yearly training certification. So why not have that training facility here in Salisbury? So we are very appreciative and understanding of our good friends in Ocean City. We probably differ on the impact of the view that people may or may not have, but we think it's important. We think it can diversify the lower shore economy and can make us, literally a linchpin as this industry begins its early stages here in the United States.
One of the themes of this show is that I'm wrong about everything all the time.
At least when I'm a guest. I don't know about anybody else.
And, for 30 years, 40 years now, I've been reading that, Wallops Island is going to be this great thing, this spaceport, and I've been like, yeah, that'll be the day. But people like you and Greater Salisbury Committee have been committed to Wallops, and now finally it really is an important spaceport. I was just reading a launch schedule down there. It's amazing. They've added some more stuff with other vendors, but you've got contractors coming here. It's not a Virginia-only thing. People live here and go there.
Yeah.
It's been a very important economic thing. Talk about your commitment to Wallops.
Well, it's a natural commitment. The Greater Salisbury Committee is not just about the community of Salisbury. It's about looking at the region. And you look, as the crow flies, you look about 30 miles south of us, and there sits a rocket boosting place called NASA Wallops. That's home not just to NASA, but to the U.S. Navy and to NOAA and to private companies like Northrop Grumman. 1,900 people 1,900 people a day go to work on that base. Half of them are civilian. Half of those civilian employees live, guess where? In Worcester, in Wycomico, and in Somerset counties. They are above median income, high paying wages, and they launch now. The International Space Station gets relocated resupplied out of NASA. Future adventures to the moon are going, NASA Wallops will play a role in that. Drone, the UAS, unmanned aircraft system operations, which we know are a next step in aviation. They have a drone facility, a drone runway there. We know what's happening at the Salisbury Airport with drones. We know what the Somerset Airport is attempting to do. So it just makes economic sense to remind our Maryland lawmakers and our governor and our U.S. senators that there sits a facility that is very important to the region, the Delmarva region, and of course the state of Maryland, as well as Virginia and Delaware.
You mentioned our airport. That's also in your task list, trying to get more money for the airport, for the runway extension, and the other great things that will do stuff for the economy, for business. You were instrumental in helping solve that problem with water in terms of lobbying people to understand what that was all about. Talk about the airport.
It's an underutilized and underappreciated asset. It is the second largest airport, commercial airport in the state of Maryland. Hard as that is to believe, it is. We have commercial air service that flies more than 100,000 people out of that airport to anywhere in the world. There are 400 Piedmont Airlines maintenance jobs here because Piedmont Airlines has its maintenance headquarters here. It could be anywhere. So the former airport manager, Dawn Veach, the current airport manager, Tony Rudy, the airport commission led by Calvin Peacock, the Greater Salisbury Committee, the Chamber of Commerce, we understand that there are tremendous upsides to investing in the Salisbury Airport. The Bay Bridge becomes a really busy place. Well, two places known as UPS and FedEx operate out of BWI. Why can't they operate out of the Salisbury Airport? There are big dreams. There's a drone facility that's about to open. It's just an important asset. And once and if we were to ever lose commercial airline service, the chances of it coming back are really small.
Right.
So one of the things that they're attempting to do now is remind the people of Delmarva, probably from Easton and Dover down and across, and from, of course, down in Virginia, come start your journey here. It's cheaper, it's more efficient, and it can get you wherever you want to go. So our commitment to NASA, our commitment to the Salisbury Airport, it's not just about what they've been, it's about what they can be. And we think they can be extraordinary assets for this region.
And it seems to me, if I was them and the county didn't want to invest, in the thing that I'm helping to benefit the county, certainly with passenger service and all the other stuff, I would be kind of upset by that.
I would too. So let's get them an airport runway extension. GSC, we put together a meeting last summer with Senator Cardin. We did it up at Chesapeake Community College. Wayne Strausberg, the former and still kind of helping acting county executive John Pasota, they've all got their eye on the ball. And the next most important thing to come is to get that runway extended. Quite literally, the current Piedmont American Airlines jets that fly in there, in the summer, they cannot load the plane to full capacity. It's a weight issue. Their plane needs a certain liftoff and stuff, physics stuff that's way out of my area of expertise, but they can't sell out the plane. In order to sell out the plane, we need a larger runway. So this is all about, what do they say? You keep your current customers happy,
right,
more so than you go get new customers. Well, Piedmont Airlines and American Airlines are our customers, and it's our job to try to keep them happy.
I always have multiple pages in the paper where Junior Achievement has their big Aspire event, where kids help with their careers and learning. It's always a great event. Not going to happen in person this year because of the pandemic situation. But I know you've been working with Junior Achievement. They want to get their own building somewhere. Talk to me about what Junior Achievement wants to do.
Boy, first off, their JA Inspire event will go virtual. We'll probably triple the number of students who can participate in it, so that's amazing. It looks at career opportunities. Full disclosure, I'm the vice chair of the board at Junior Achievement.
I didn't know that.
No
Okay.
worries. Greater Salisbury Committee helped to bring Junior Achievement here 40 years ago. They have a concept called the JA Center of Delmarva, and it is a game changer. It will bring students from 8 of the 9 Maryland counties, students from Accomack and Northampton, and maybe at some point from Sussex County, to come and see what opportunities exist. There's a location in Salisbury. They are doing a capital campaign, and just imagine what that can do to 8th graders and 11th graders as they come in and explore career opportunities, as they come in and learn the day-to-day, how do I balance a checkbook?
Right, that financial stuff
financial
is so
literacy
important.
is so important.
And
so
it's completely misunderstood. And, how to get a job and
Yeah.
what businesses might fit for me. I mean, the public schools do that to a degree, but
course.
not this really adds an element to people who need to know more.
So JA Finance Park, which will be located there, and something called JA BizTown, they simulate day-to-day life. You get assigned, if you will, you're a 35-year-old man, you make $45,000 a year, you have a wife and 2 kids, now you have to kind of figure it out. Mortgage payment and taxes and car insurance. So it's going to be an amazing facility. Jamie Hayes, their president and CEO, everybody who knows Jamie knows that she's exceptionally capable. She's been there for about a dozen years, and what she's done with that organization, not just here in Wicomico County, but in the 6 counties that they serve on Maryland's Eastern Shore, is amazing. And this facility will be something spectacular. And there's more on that to come, if you will.
Just had a reader over the weekend say that we're trying to cover up the Horizon tax program in downtown Salisbury. We've had it, I think, on the front page 3 times. I feel like I've written it to death. But anyway, we'll talk about it on TV. I know Greater Salisbury Committee is a proponent of this. Tell us about the Horizon program for downtown.
What we want, beds and heads in downtown. That's not new. This Horizon tax credit idea specifically is for residential and hotel developments that are in excess of $10 million in value.
So big ticket projects.
Big projects. And in order to get those big projects here, investors across the country, they're looking everywhere. They're looking everywhere to find a deal, but to find a profitable deal. So if we can put together, we being City of Salisbury and Wicomico County, can put together a tax incentive program that can make a certain investor who's looking in Scottsdale, Arizona, or Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or Greenville, North Carolina, or South Carolina, we'll have them look here as well as our local investor community. Why wouldn't we do that? It's good for the economy. It builds jobs. That's construction jobs. It brings people living in and around downtown. It's residential development. And those people will spend money, they will stay here, they will work. It is as pro-business a concept that I can think of, and yet we have on our Wicomico County Council Republican, allegedly pro-business council members who just see it differently. So they're obviously entitled to see things the way they see things, but it's frustrating. Good news is that Horizon tax credit idea just got a full unanimous vote of support from the entire Eastern Shore delegation. It's enabling legislation which will allow the City of Salisbury and Wicomico County, if they want to.
Right. If they want to is the key. City's all in, the county has to decide.
And why the county, some members of the county council don't want to support this concept that could bring development in the heart of this county, i.e. downtown Salisbury, is just puzzling. So we will continue to advocate for that idea and that concept. And, again, investors everywhere, every day, are looking for an edge. And they will go where they can find that edge. This isn't giving money away. It's deferring tax.
The money comes on the backside.
Comes on the backside.
Right.
Fully paid on the backside. And in the meantime, you get fully developed, maybe hotels and maybe residential development in the core of Wicomico County.
And if people are living downtown, they're paying taxes downtown.
They're shopping downtown. They're eating in restaurants downtown.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the vibrancy, just the mode of vibrancy is just really important.
And every downtown that has been successful, think Asheville, North Carolina, and Greenville, South Carolina, all these cool towns that have occurred, Frederick, Maryland, they have all taken advantage of tax incentive ideas. That's how the ball gets rolling. So this is just us getting in the game a little bit.
Well, in the theme of me being wrong about everything, I remember 25 years ago writing an editorial criticizing the city for selling the land where Brew River is at such a low price to Frank Hanna. And I was like, this thing's going to be in business a year and fail. It's just going to be a debacle, and we've wasted this opportunity. And here it is 25 years later, and what would that area be without Brew River Restaurant?
And among the investors who signed on to a letter of support for the Horizon tax credit was Frank Hanna.
Well, good for him. He should.
He gets it. Frank Hanna is about as astute an investor and business person as we know, extends well beyond his very successful restaurant career. So if Frank Hanna is signing on to an idea and Frank is about as conservative as they come, then there's probably some merit to it.
Tell me, I was very intrigued. Tell me about this Vehicles for Change thing that you guys are advocating.
So Vehicles for Change is a nonprofit that's been existing in Baltimore for 20 years. And we're trying to bring it here. Former GSE Executive Director Louis Luna turned me on to this about a year and a half ago. My first phone call after the fact was to Sandy Angelo at Pohanka. Vehicles for Change takes formerly incarcerated individuals and retrains them as auto technicians. So they learn a skill, they become valuable members of society again. In order to work on the cars, the community donates cars to Vehicles for Change. Those are the cars they fix up. Then on the back end, people with lower socioeconomic situation, they purchase the cars, help establish credit. Think Habitat for Humanity, but with cars. And so we are trying to bring that here. We think it's a win-win-win. San D'Angelo, Pohanka, Hertrick, all those other car dealers, they're desperately in need of auto technicians. That's a win. Formerly incarcerated individuals retraining and getting a career, that's a win. And people on the lower end who are having transportation problems, they get to establish credit and get a car out of it. So win, win, win. And we're working really hard to try to make that happen in 2021.
You're also getting involved in something that I hear lots of complaints about from readers, and I haven't found a way to really write a story about this yet, but with the big surge in unemployment filings in Maryland, it's exposed some problems in our unemployment compensation system and just how all the computers work. I know you're getting involved in that.
Well, you know, we really couldn't talk about 2021 without talking about COVID, as you well know. It's still here. GSC, the Chamber of Commerce, Bill Chambers has done a remarkable job. Dave Ryan at SWED has done an even potentially more remarkable job getting $10 to $15 million into small businesses. So that work has to continue. We all know that there was an epic fail in computer systems in every state in America during the unemployment crisis, which still lingers. So among the things we're advocating is that the unemployment infrastructure within the state of Maryland needs to be addressed. That's number one. Number two, businesses, and this is something, again, that is really more up the Chamber's alley, but we're in full support of it. Business owners have to make sure that their unemployment rates, if you will, don't go up as a result of what's just happened. So we're just trying to address what we know have been systemic failures in our unemployment machinery, if you will. And then we need to not put any more crippling bills, if you will, onto the backs of our local businesses. So, you know, it's just really important as we rebuild and as people get back to work and as businesses reopen that, you know, they're not facing more burdens on top of what's already been an historically difficult year.
One thing in my world that is so frustrating is dealing with misinformation and exaggeration that goes out on social media and elsewhere, actually. And I saw that firsthand up close with this gas pipeline to bring natural gas to Somerset County. I think it's probably the only county in the state that doesn't have natural gas.
Correct.
It's holding back some development down there. It's affecting UMES and Eastern Correctional Institutions. So there has been a proposal to extend the line that goes to Salisbury down to Westover, Princess Anne. And there's been some controversy with this. I think a lot of the maybe environmental people didn't understand what the pipeline would look like or be like. But you all have taken a position on that.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, this is a great example. We don't always agree. I just was somewhat critical of some of the decisions on the Wicomico County Council. The Salisbury City Council sent a letter in opposition to this. And again, that's clearly their right to do that.
And I sent them a note. I said, I think you guys have been misinformed on this. Some of the things they cited were based on that social networking discussion.
So, you know, we're behind it because, again, it's jobs. Every county in the state of Maryland has natural gas. My wife and I have it in our home. Many people do. This is a pipeline that began 60 years ago, and it has been extended in throughout the state of Maryland for all these years. And the last 7 miles of it or so needs to extend down to Somerset County. When it does, we think that's an opportunity for UMES. It's an opportunity at ECI. It's going to almost counterintuitively reduce greenhouse gas emissions because of the way that each of those facilities are operating. And if there's natural gas, maybe there's opportunity for better residential development. So it's just it's an extension of an existing pipeline. If this was a brand spanking new pipeline, not in any way like the size of a Keystone.
It's 18 inches.
Yeah, everybody might have a different approach to it, including the Greater Salisbury Committee. But this is really just the finishing of a pipeline that, you know, has been extended in the state of Maryland for a long, long time. So for us, it makes economic sense.
And it's not like it's coal. It's a bridge technology to green.
That's right.
Energy.
And, you know, from GSC perspective, we're pushing for the last 7 miles of natural gas, while also, again, what would seem counterintuitive, advancing the cause of offshore wind. We think those two things can coexist. We're not going to just suddenly hit a button and turn off, fossil fuels. That's not going to happen. It's likely coming over the next 25 years or so. But, in the meantime, we think extending natural gas to Somerset County and building offshore wind off the coast of Ocean City both make sense.
One thing your members of Greater Salisbury Committee benefit from, and all of us here in the business community and economically, is the training that's available through Warwick Community College.
Yeah.
Yet, based on my conversations and from what I hear, it's really chronically underfunded compared to other community colleges in the state, and it's so vital to everything we do.
Ray Hoy, our good friend, the president of Warwick, does an astounding job. And if anybody knows Ray, he's smarter than most of us. I think he has six degrees, six advanced degrees.
I think he's 7 or 8 now, yeah.
And Ray has been leading that charge that we are severely underfunded relative to the support that community colleges elsewhere in the state of Maryland receive, not only locally, but from the state of Maryland. And talk about an asset. It's really hard to imagine where we would be as a community without Warwick Community College.
The nursing, the criminal justice academy, the business
yeah.
training, the accounting training, the bookkeeping. It's just their people are in every business that we have.
And they are as important to what we do here as is UMES, as is Salisbury University. I keep going back to the theme of an underutilized asset. Warwick is a utilized asset for certain, but on some levels it's underutilized and underappreciated, and we do everything that we can, Ray, as a member of GSC, to help him spread that message of the importance of Warwick.
How are you doing? How are you faring through this?
It's been different. The GSC business model has been, like many, it's been flipped on its head a little bit. We meet via Zoom. There's not that person-to-person contact. But we knew instinctively and immediately that when COVID hit, that our role as GSC was to engage and collaborate with our partners at the Chamber, at SWED, at Salisbury University, at the Community Foundation, at the United Way, at JA, and on and on. We knew instinctively that this community was going to have to rally, and we rallied. And again, I'm very proud, as I've said on many occasions, when the history of COVID is written, the people and the organizations and entities of Wicomico County, they didn't put their head in the sand. We collectively tried to prop each other up and do the best we can. So we continue in that vein in 2021.
Mike, thanks for being our first guest, and thanks for being our most recent guest.
Our pleasure, Craig. Thank you as always.
He's Mike Dunn. He's the CEO and president of the Greater Salisbury Committee, and we're thrilled that he had time to be with us here today. I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper, another edition of One-on-One right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and One-on-One. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.